All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dan Weltin. I'm the chief editor of our facility brands at NFM&T. I am joined by Dr. Alicia Heart, chief operating officer of City of Alexandria Public Schools, and Cynthia Smith, the executive director of facilities planning, design, and construction for Baltimore City Public Schools here. And we're going to be discussing K through 12 initiative or sustainability initiatives in K through 12 public schools. If you were in our morning panel with these women, they talked about some of their sustainability initiatives at their school, and I'd like for them to talk a little bit more about it. Both in Baltimore and City of Alexandria, they're operating some net zero schools using geothermal heat and other energy initiatives. So Dr. Hart, could you start by explaining some of the projects that you've been working on?
Yes, thank you, Dan. So as Dan just alluded to, our school division is really focused on major modernization projects over the next few years, and those projects are being built to a net zero ready status. That means that we are utilizing geothermal wells, we are utilizing solar array systems, we are utilizing more sustainable building materials as we are continuing to move these projects forward. So we currently have 2 schools that are net zero ready. We are getting ready to start construction on our third school that will also be net zero ready, and hopefully we will be completely net zero once we finalize our solar array installation, and that's being worked out right now with Dominion Power. So,
great, thank you. Cynthia?
Yes, thank you. So we actually have 2 certified net zero schools in Baltimore City Schools. We are the second and third schools in the state of Maryland to be net zero. So we've been operating since 2020. We opened right smack in the middle of COVID, but have been certified net zero for about 4 years now. We're actually getting ready to open our third net zero school. The solar array is being installed on it right this instant, and it will be opening in June. And then our fourth one is being starting design right now. All of our schools have EUI goals now, so rather than necessarily focusing on being net zero. For us, it's very hard. A lot of our schools are right smack in the middle of the city, so we have very tight sites. I can't always put a geothermal well on, geothermal well field on a site. I don't even always have enough roof area to put solar panels, because some of them are, tall, skinny buildings, to be able to, again, maximize that site. So, but we have EUI goals, at least, that we're going towards. So that at least we're saving energy, which is ultimately what we need to do, whether it's net zero or not. We're trying to get that energy savings and that sustainability goal hit.
Yeah, outside of at your other schools, since obviously you have many schools in your districts and only a handful are net zero, are there other sustainable initiatives at these other schools that you're implementing and maybe beyond just energy savings?
yes, so for our schools that are existing that are not new construction, some of the things that we have focused on is updating our lights, of course, going from fluorescent to LED. We also focus on the efficiency of our mechanical systems, specifically HVAC. So as we are doing full-on replacements, we do a lot of cooling tower, a lot of chiller replacements. We're making sure that we are working with manufacturers that have higher efficiency, better output machinery versus what we currently have installed in some of our older buildings. So those are some of the ways that we are focusing on making our existing buildings, retrofitting them to have greater energy efficiency.
And in addition to all of those things, focusing on those envelopes too, as we replace our windows, trying to make sure that our buildings are airtight, so that we don't have all of that leaking energy out of it. City Schools has a very robust sustainability plan that not only focuses on buildings, but also focusing on, of course, recycling programs, gardening in the schools with the students, curriculum based around sustainability. So, it's a well-wrapped process in all of the aspects of our school district.
Getting the program started, was it a tough sell to move towards these sustainable initiatives, or was the school board or the powers that be of the schools open to this idea, the parents, or was it a lot of convincing back then?
I will definitely say we get a lot of support in the city of Alexandria, both from the city, from the community, as well as from the school board. For us, we had already been on the track of building facilities that were LEED certified, so this was not a new initiative for us. But moving into the arena of net zero was definitely new for the school division. A lot of upfront investment, and I know we talked about that earlier this morning on the panel. But again, just the focus on sustainability is very important to us as a division and as a department. So that is something that I've advocated for over the last few years, have gotten that support of financially, again, from our city council and from our school board. So it's an idea that everyone was very excited about. We've also, as Cynthia mentioned, have also utilized this as an opportunity for our students to learn more about the environment, about sustainability. So we make sure that we always have an instructional component that pays dividends in terms of the investment put forth in those projects.
So our school board loves them. Every time we want to announce a new school, it's going to be, is it going to be net zero? Like, where are we doing with this? I think it's really kind of funny, actually. I will say, I think it took a little bit of convincing right off the start, trying to convince people that it wasn't necessarily going to cost more, or the little bit of cost, because I'll say that the geothermal well field, all that, really hasn't cost us any more to do anything like that. There's a little bit of cost up front in the solar panels. Even when we put that in to the cost, though, it really doesn't end up being more than what our average building cost is for any of our other buildings. It's just that part isn't funded by the state for us, so we have to come up with that money. So trying to come up with that money, and as long as we can come up with the money, making it happen, everybody loves them, and the community loves them. It's just, trying to get that final step and that final hurdle to get the money to make it that far.
Where would you recommend other school districts start? What is the low-hanging fruit to get for, on that path to sustainability?
I would say definitely focusing on existing facilities in the ways that you can make them more energy efficient. So, lighting is low-hanging fruit in my opinion. Building exterior, as mentioning, making sure that you're doing tuck pointing, that you're focused on your windows, that you're doing those sort of replacements and those sort of assessments to your existing buildings. I think that definitely helps start the trend of sustainability within a division that may not have started that effort yet, but it also will start paying some financial dividends as well. And then if you can start getting people on board based off of the analysis and the savings that you've been able to achieve through some of those minor items, I think that will help build that enthusiasm to be able to move forward, full force into a sustainability program.
And then for us, I would add setting that energy goal. If you're going to build new and you're not retrofitting, or you're not trying to, even if you are retrofitting and you're going to do a major renovation of something, set an EUI goal that's kind of low, pretty tight. Try to stretch, your design staff's wherewithals there to see what they can do. See what you can get out of them. Set an EUI. I think right now our RFPs say 23. But, if they can get to 21, great. That's where I want them to be. Set that goal, see if you can make it. And because that ultimately is what is, the real goal. You're going to save energy across the board no matter what you do if you can hit that EUI.
This morning on the panel, I know Baltimore City Schools has a separate sustainability department. Do you find it, how crucial is having that department, and does that start right away, or as you make initiatives and then you kind of develop it out further?
So as long as I have been there, we've had the energy manager. In the 10 years that I've been there, it has grown to now a department of either 3 or 4. So it has definitely really is quadrupled in size in the 10 years. A lot of that had to do with our net zero schools. The sustainability plan has been around, the robust sustainability plan has been around for about 6 years now. There's a lot of community buy-in that has to come into net zero. When you get to net zero, it's not just community, but staff. Like literally, one of our biggest things was, teachers are used to having their little mini fridges and their microwaves and their little heaters and everything else in their classroom. And all of those things suck up the energy, and you will not get to net zero and maintain net zero if you allow all of that stuff to happen. So, it's not only that first round of teachers educating them on it, but it's a continual education process because teachers leave, principals leave. We've had a turnover of principals at both the schools that we have that are net zero. So our sustainability staff is really crucial in that, in re-educating all those every year. Really, that this is the special properties of your building. It's a very unique building. You cannot have your own microwave, right? Like you cannot plug in your heater. So, between the policies that they put in place and then having the staff to continually reiterate that, as well as push on all of our teams to find those energy savings across the board, educate the communities on those energy savings, and then honestly, they actually go out and see what grants we can find too and where else we can find money from. So that's been really crucial for that too. So they make the job a lot easier to do this kind of thing when we have a team like that.
And maybe you can talk a little bit about your plan. I see you have your plan, here with you. Kind of how was that developed? How involved was the facility department? And I guess how far out does that plan look?
So, of course, I have the plan, but I'm not the one that developed the plan. So I'm not the one that's the expert on the plan. I can tell you that they update them periodically, and they do a board presentation twice a year, actually, as to where we are against their goals. How many projects we've done that are, increase energy efficiency in the district. It was developed across bringing into account teaching and learning, the maintenance side of the house, plus the design and construction side of the house, academics. It really brought in to play all of the different departments at the district to really make it as robust as it is, because it does include things like curriculum for students. The first tenet of it is to develop environmentally literate students. So that's even before the facilities. It's let's make our students environmentally literate. Healthy school environments, conserving natural resources, school green spaces, engaging the communities, and promoting environmental justice. So it really does wrap around the entire process of students learning, and whether it's in the spaces that they learn in or how they learn and what they learn, to be a very robust plan. I can tell you that just getting back from the Green Schools Conference 2 weeks ago, other people are modeling their plans after ours.
Is there a plan in the city of Alexandria, and kind of what went into your development of that plan?
Yeah, so the schools, we're actually in the process of developing our own plan. We currently fall under the city of Alexandria. They have a green building plan. So a lot of our sustainability efforts are focused on what's in the city's plan, so we can make sure that we are following suit, even though our goals are slightly different with our buildings. So, for instance, the schools have been the ones that have been able to facilitate 2 of the net zero ready buildings. I know our city colleagues are working on doing the same thing when they are modernizing their facilities as well. So, right now we're working under that umbrella, but we are developing our own climate sustainability action plan for the school division.
Does anyone here listening have any questions for the panel? We have a microphone in the corner. If you have something you're doing at your facility that you want some assistance on, please raise your hand and use the mic in the corner.
I know I saw you at the Building Envelope Conference. I hear a lot of conversation about window replacement. What about window film, window inserts, upgrades to glazing instead of replacement? Because the payback for window replacement is 100 years, so we don't do it. But what do you do for solar heat gain and student safety and security?
So I will say for our school division, because the age of our buildings vary so differently, a number of our window replacements have been focused on our schools that are 50, 60 years plus older. I think our oldest school right now in our inventory is around 90 years old. So we look at the return on investment. We do investigate different measures, if we should do a film or, focus on the glazing. And oftentimes, just because of the conditions of those facilities, we go with a full-on replacement. And then, of course, with our new newer facilities, we're making sure that we are using materials and designing buildings in such a way that hopefully we will minimize those instances of, leaks and such in the future as it relates to our window systems. So for us, that's generally been our protocol. It's just full-on replacement just because the buildings that need it, that's what they are in need of. And so, I think that once we get to a point where all of our facilities are in a good place, then we'll be in a better position to start investigating some options that are not as expensive.
I would kind of second that. Our oldest building is from the 1890s, so by the time we're doing a window replacement, we usually desperately need the whole window replacement, frame, and honestly, sometimes the brick is crumbling around it too, and so we're having to do brick repairs too at the same time. So, we really aren't at a point right now where we're investigating some of those other alternatives because we just really need the new windows, period.
Do you have a question?
I do, but it's very, very niche. So anyone else? No? All right. This is a small sample size study. I'm from the pest management industry. I went to the session before when you mentioned that in the net zero buildings, the teachers can't have the microwaves and all of that. Our folks are always like, the teachers with the food in their classroom, it brings the pests. Do you see less thinking about the pests that don't come in from the outside, so the building envelope's not the issue, cockroaches and mice specifically? Do you see less incidences of cockroaches and mice infestations in the classrooms just with the simple elimination of hey, teachers don't have these things that make it really convenient to have food in the classrooms? I'm just very curious.
So I would say for us, that's not necessarily tied to net zero versus non-net zero. But,
it would just be I'm curious to know if it's a trickle down effect of having net zero.
We have focused on that process through our indoor air quality plan. So what we try to explain to individuals is that pests, mice, roaches, things of that nature, they exacerbate allergens. They create indoor air quality issues. And so we try to frame it in such a way that we're not trying to be, restrictive.
It's really,
it's really impacting
hard
health.
to get behavior change through just saying that.
Yes.
But the fact that you had a reason to be and we're taking away your
yes.
Did it result in less pests?
It does. It does
so
for us.
Cool.
That's been our experience. It does result in less pests. And sometimes a little bit more consternation when you're having to do that. But I think overall most understand, and most would rather have no food and no refrigerator versus dealing with mice and rodents in their building and in their classroom.
You can't convince them of it until you tell them they absolutely cannot have them in their classrooms because of net zero. So that's really interesting. Thank you for the nerdy conversation.
Sure.
Thank you very much. Once the building's been constructed and commissioned, how are you continuing operation and maintenance of the building? Who's performing the audits?
So for us, it's our in-house staff. Under my facilities umbrella, I have 3 distinct offices. I have one that plans and designs and constructs all of our new schools. We also have an office that deals with what we consider non-capacity projects. So they handle anything that's not related to actually adding seats to the division. And then I have a maintenance and custodial services office. And they pick up the building once it's commissioned, once we've reached final completion. They take over the maintenance, of course, in terms of dealing with anything that's not currently covered by warranty. But for us, it's really important for the maintenance team to be involved during the construction process, doing site visits, helping us with the punch list completion as well, because then they gain a familiarity of the building, they gain a familiarity of the systems and how it operates, and I really believe that helps from the maintenance standpoint of them being able to then maintain the building from there forward.
Great to hear. Thank you.
Are there any initiatives coming down the pike or future plans that you guys have or future goals for your facilities in sustainability moving forward in the next few years?
So we're actually, the RFP was just, should be actually voted on by the school board tonight, I think, to approve the award to a new design firm to start our 4th net zero school. So we'll be designing and then constructing, of course, our 4th net zero school. Of course, we continue to have our EUI goals set in everything that we're doing. And, anything that we can do to increase those sustainability goals and decrease the energy usage, we're constantly looking at new materials, new energy initiatives, anything, any funding initiatives, anything that's out there. We're constantly, we like to consider ourselves fairly early adopters in some cases, so that we can try to incorporate whatever we can to really reduce that. The more operating costs that we can save over the life of the building, the more it goes back into other uses, teachers and books and supplies and maybe new schools if we can get it directed to operations.
I'd say on our end, we're doing much of the same. We're continuing with our focus through our capital modernization program of net zero buildings, but then we're also shifting our focus to not just the core building and sustainability. For instance, I am working right now with the City of Alexandria's Beautification Commission, and we are launching a sustainability initiative as it relates to native plants. So our new high school, we have a greenhouse that was actually part of the design, and we are working with the Beautification Commission to not only have an area at a particular school where we are planting native sustainable plants, because we know that that will help reduce our water usage over time because they require less water. We're also now working on how do we then grow these plants within our existing greenhouse. So just really looking at full life cycle sustainability and how we can use our buildings to support that process throughout the city and throughout our division. So we're trying to just look beyond our facilities and look into some other ways to promote sustainability as well.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much for sharing your stories with us both this morning and now here at Show Central. Thank you.
Thank you.